Good afternoon, Sports Insanity Network fans. It's Marco Guy Halpern here on the Sports Insanity Network. We're here live from the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere today and tonight. So I'd like to welcome back my good friend Omer Barzilai to the Coast to Coast. Good evening, Omer. How are you?
I'm great. It's happy to be back. Wasn't here for a few months, but it's good to be able to get us back on the air.
Yes, I would very, Omer is a father like me, has kids, has responsibilities, and getting together sometimes is tough, but we make it happen. And here we are. Obviously, we know what this guy's happy about, is New York Yankees finished the first half.
Happy? I
Well,
don't
not
know.
not yet. I mean, he's got to be happy. I mean, they're gonna finish well over 500. They're not going to finish in first place. There's still a couple of games left to play out, but they put themselves in a good spot at this point at 55 and 38. Aaron Judge leads them with a 308 batting average. He also leads them with 32 home runs. Let's just keep it going. 83 RBIs, 101 hits, but Juan Soto with the on base percentage of 427 has done it for the offense of the Yankees. Omer, the offense of the New York Yankees. What has you happy? What has had you interested? What have you seen, Omer?
Well, I mean, obviously Aaron Judge and Soto, it's one of those it's that Kobe Shaq type issue. They're playing off each other. They're playing really well, but I think that's the problem is that it's been basically the two of them. Volpe kind of gave out a little. The bottom of the lineup wasn't doing like what we needed. Verdugo, Torres, I think we had a lot of hope for them to do a little better. And Rizzo, again having issues with his health and stuff like that. Also, DJ, not exactly sure how he's ever since his contract, it's been problematic. But again, the season's long. The baseball season's 162 games. It's good that we did really well at the beginning, gave us kind of that edge. Problem with Baltimore that we kind of lost that series, which kind of brought us back. But again, we have a series with Baltimore before the All-Star game.
And that's going to
So
be the big
we
watch series.
actually exactly. So I mean, we actually may have a chance being first or even tied. I mean, again, if we beat Tampa Bay in these two games, Baltimore wins, and then we actually are 3 games back, and hopefully we can tie up. That would be
And
great.
that would be a great way for the Yankees to go into the All
Mhm.
Star break because not to take anything away from the Tampa Bay Rays or the Toronto Blue Jays at all, or the Boston Red Sox. I mean, you can really make a case for all five of these teams that are playing well, but you have to look at the top two being the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles. And I see this as being a cat and mouse game, pretty much till the end of the season. As Omer said, it's a long season. We're only almost halfway through it,
Exactly.
and are the Yankees thinking about buying, or you think the Yankees are going to stand pat? I don't think the Yankees are going to sell because it would make no sense.
Well, I mean, when you come into there definitely has to be a trade coming in somewhere. Question is, I really didn't think we needed offense, but I guess the past 2 weeks kind of showed different. Past 3 weeks, we thought we kind of had our starting pitchers. That also, I think Gil kind of felt he's feeling that rookie pressure. I don't know what exactly happened to him. Um, Clay Holmes, I guess he had we lost a few games there with him kind of dropping out. So I don't know. I think we're gonna have to look at maybe getting. I think we spoke about last time. You asked me what player I'd want to get, and I think we need to get that one Mike Trout that just kind of want to win it before he decides that he puts up his cleats. I think that's someone we need to get someone like that, with a lot of passion, a lot of wanting to win. And I think we definitely need some type of middle reliever, just someone to we know that in the playoffs can just take over those 6, 7, 8 innings and just make sure that we get to homes with that lead, maybe even a run or two, not just leave them with one all the time.
And you look at a good point that Omer is making. The Yankee pitchers who you would expect to see at the top of the name here would be Garrett Cole. And obviously, unfortunately for that, Garrett Cole was injured for pretty much the first half of the season. So, we can't really talk about his performance at all. If you want to pull two pitchers out of it, I pull out Carlos Rodon and Marcus Stroman being the two real experienced guys. Stroman has had a much better year
And Cortez.
yeah.
And
Well,
Cortez.
Cortez is 4-7, but I want to look at Rodon because Rodon last year was just horrible. I mean, not to say his 4.63 ERA now is any better, but at 9-7, it's a lot better outlook than what the Yankees had last year from him. So I think that's a positive. Stroman is going to be that 500 guy, 7-4, so he'll eat innings. But I think Omer nailed it perfectly. Is that these guys can get you through 1-5, but we need that middle release 6, 7, 8. Well, not 8, 6 and 7 really.
6, 7.
And if you look at the Yankee pitching, he's right. And who knows what everybody gets surprised at the last second because nobody is untradeable. Yes, and everybody has trade deals and whatnot. Those can be fixed. So on any team, nobody's untradeable. There's players that nobody will be able to go after, but everybody has a price for somebody at some point. The Yankees are in a good spot. Now let's go over the bridge and we go to my New York Mets, who are not doing very well, but they are doing very well. So, the reason I can say that is because the Mets, when game one started this year, were not predicted to be anywhere where they are right now. Right now, the New York Mets are holding tight at third place, and I'll take it at 45-45. That is a great spot for the Mets to be. They're 2.5 out of the wild card. The Mets, it's funny when I'm going to talk about the Mets leaders here, but the Mets leaders and everything. You got Lindor, who's doing it with the batting average, finally, 253. And that's all because they told him, you're no longer batting in the middle of the year, you're batting leadoff. And that has been spectacular for him. Obviously, Alonso's leading in home runs. Nimmo with the RBIs, Lindor with the hits, and Nimmo again with the on-base percentage. But everybody on this Mets team, from Bader to J.D. Martinez, Tyrone Taylor, all of them have been pitching in when been asked to and picking up on big plays. The Mets pitching is a bigger joke than anything else. However, it was a band-aided team. However, it was genius work by David Stearns because it's worked. So you got to give David Stearns all the credit for bringing in Severino on a middle-end deal. You went out and got Sean Manaea, who's got experience. Quintana you had from last year. Senga, okay, yeah, we're still not going to see him until after the All-Star break. But the Mets are buyers come the All-Star break. And like Omer says, you got to get somebody with a win-it-now mentality. And why is he putting it like that? It's because baseball teams are no longer like they were in the 70s, 60s, 80s, of journeymen of 10, 12, 14 years. Players forget about contract. Players' lifespan in baseball really depends on the position you play, and we'll obviously say pitcher and catcher really take the hardest beatings throughout their career.
No, I agree with you.
Okay, so it takes baseball players don't last as long as they did. So for Mike Trout to be where he is, he's injured all the time. However, the guy still comes out and plays at 120% if that's even possible, considering how banged up he is.
So if I can just add, if I'm talking about the Yankees adding, I think, I know we're going to go across the border, but I mean, I wouldn't go far by doing a Gleyber Torres, Bo Bichette type deal, Vladimir Guerrero. Try to see how those two guys kind of want to join the winning ride. They're free agents, I think, next year. They're going to want a lot of money. But if we can win it now and probably steal from the Blue Jays, I mean, they're not going anywhere anyways. You know, and maybe get the starting pitcher from Detroit. I think it's Tariq something.
Tariq
He's
Subtle.
having he's having an amazing year. Detroit's going nowhere. I mean, that's like a one, and I mean it's just it's like having that one superstar that just can't bring can't bring in can't do any one thing. The one pitcher can't win 5 games in a row, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely like if I'm the Yankees, then I'm trying to look there. I'm really really trying to look there.
Being, listening to what Omer just said, he brought up a very good name, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he is on, the tail end of his contract. And if the Blue Jays aren't going to win it, he's the biggest name right now that could be moved come the trade deadline. And it would, because I know Ben Rice is up, and what he's doing right now is he's doing that rookie thing. And look, I've seen rookies come up and do this, and it's great to watch. The problem is Yankee fans are cheering him now. The question is when he cools off and can he accept the Yankee treatment? Not the players, it's the fans. And
Yeah.
I think the kid wouldn't play in New York if he didn't think he could handle it. However, it's a different ball. It's a different story when you step out into it than what you think about it on TV. That being said, it would be advantageous for the Yankees to see what they could deal to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And you have to figure the name I just talked about is going to have to be at the center of that deal. The Yankees would probably have to give up Ben Rice to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Because Toronto would try to fleece anybody, and they're going to go for the top person. The Yankees have nothing less than what they traded for Soto, and the Yankees are
I would give up.
content
I
that
think I would give up. I would easily give up Cabrera and Torres. I'd also maybe try to do a 3-team deal with McMahon from the Rockies. Yeah, third baseman there. That's also kind of going nowhere. I mean, I'd try to bring in 2 of these players. Try to maybe give up a little bit of maybe even Verdugo if I needed to, and I'd find an outfielder for that.
I
Especially
never
down the
liked the
stretch.
signing anyway.
Yeah, I think I'd give them up. I know it's kind of Torres and Cabrera kind of the future, but again, you're looking to win now. You have these players. You have Judge, Soto, Cole, that I'm sure is going to come back from the All-Star game a lot hotter. I
Hopefully,
mean,
right.
yeah, exactly. And so Holmes, is closing out. You bring in another maybe right-hand pitcher. For like I said, 6 to 8, and you start running the second half of the season.
So Omar would bring in enough players to get the Yankees that 28th championship. Right. I had to double check that.
Totally.
The 28th championship. God, that hurts to say. This doesn't roll off the tongue nicely.
We haven't won since 2009. We need something.
Yet you haven't won since 2009. I haven't won since 1986. That being said, that being said, um, it would be interesting to see what the Yankees do. I think Soto really juiced the Yankees to add a farm talent. Obviously they're going to get Dominguez back, and you obviously
Yeah.
know he's not for sale. And anybody who says there's rumors that the Yankees are willing to trade him, as I said, everybody is tradable. There's just players you won't trade. If the offer was magnanimous, maybe. I don't think there's any offer on the table that could pull a Jason Dominguez or a Volpe out
No,
of
I
the
don't think so either.
because, like Omer said, they are the future. That goes to the same for the Mets. Look, the Mets are buyers. The Mets need pitching. The Mets need bullpen. Mark Vientos has proven he can play third base and be a DH when needed. What does that say for Brett Beatty? Brett Beatty now just became the biggest trade chip in all of baseball. And that's kind of sad because I really like Beatty. I think he's a strong ball player. I think he just was in a bit of a funk. And this is what happens, though, in baseball. You go into a slump as a rookie, you get sent down, somebody else comes up. and they're doing hot and they're not going to be moved. And then all of a sudden you catch fire, but the guy who's up is more important. That's how it
Sorry.
works. And Vientos, Alvarez, Beatty, all make, and Ronnie Mauricio, we're talking about next year. You're talking about Luis Angel Cunha, Drew Gilbert, Ryan Clifford. All these guys are names. They haven't stepped foot in one major league game yet. So as great as the Mets farm talent is, and I am excited for it, I don't want to say any of them are worth all of this because we have seen that, like Jerry Kalenic. Let's just throw it out there. The Mets traded Jerry Kalenic to the Seattle Mariners for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano, even though the Mets did pay for Cano's $40 million contract, which got negated anyway because he decided to take PEDs. But look what the Mets got out of it. They traded Kalenic, who has never panned out, unfortunately for him. He ended up being the Billy Bean of this generation. And they got Edwin Diaz, probably, well, having a better resurgent year after missing last year, but still one of the top 10 closers in baseball in that trade. So trades happen, whether they're for long term or short term. I agree with Omer that New York is a winning town. And when New York is not winning, New York's not
We don't get
spending
happy.
money. Exactly. And when New Yorkers are not happy, they don't spend money, even at games. So right now, the Yankees are comfortable. Mets fans are excited because the Mets are where they are. So we got two different great receptions here. You got the Mets, who, I mean, people looking at me right now who might not know me, this is happy me in Mets terminology because this is where I'm at every year. We're at the midway point. We're doing good. We're not all the way at the bottom. We still can make it, and then we're going to get there. Yeah, and then we're going to get to September. And right now, still, we're a Band-Aid pitching squad. This team, I love it. But if they don't get pitching in the trade deadline, they're not going to make it into the playoffs very long. If they do,
No.
then it's on the back of the lineup.
Don't
And
forget,
pitching
it's
is,
not about just making the playoffs. It's about also extending yourself in the playoffs. And New York's a town where if we don't win if we don't win if it's the World Series, if we don't win the Stanley Cup, or if we don't win whatever it may, I think only the Knicks we kind of I guess we can all understand because of all the injuries. I mean, it was obvious that there we kind of did the most. They did, really, Brunson did the most he could do, but
yeah,
we're a team. If we don't win the championship, we're a city. I'm sorry, if we don't win the championship, it's kind of it's a losing season, I guess. It's one of those
yeah,
things that it's just
and
the
no
way we
matter
are.
what, and like Omer said, as Omer grew up with me here, Yankees, Mets, Knicks, Rangers. They're not winning a championship, and Knicks fans know this forever. Not winning a championship, it's not a successful season, and that's correct. I love to see Giants fans cry because it's fun. I'm a Dallas fan, but that's it. When it comes down to it, if the Giants are in the Super Bowl, there's part of me that wants them to win just because it's New York. If they're playing the Jets, I'm going to root for the Jets more, though. But that's not going to happen. Getting back to the sport of baseball. So the
Yeah.
one big part about baseball, well, not the big part, one of the biggest mid points of baseball is the MLB All-Star Game, which is picked by, and we're going to get into this part first because Omer brought up a great conversation. We're going to start with that, which is
All right.
picked by nowadays. It's picked by fans, and it can't be because obviously if the fans do all the picking, obviously it's the players getting nominated who are not really supposed to get nominated. And Omer and I
Well,
had
the
started
reserves
talking about
aren't the
this.
reserves though.
There are reserves. We're going to get into those. But Homer and I were talking about this, and that we were talking about other sports, and we were talking about basketball having to have a certain amount of games played before being eligible for a award. But this was Homer's thing, and I want him to lead it. So I want you to bring it in. I want to give him the credit. This was his idea, and
No,
I
it's
like it.
fine. It's fine. I know. I'm always looking to see how we can create a better better entertainment for the fans where we want to see those athletes playing. So one of the things we see in the NBA was that players who don't play a minimum amount of games, then they can't receive that award. Where I think we should take it even farther, and also things like the All-Star game, where in the end we're looking at a half, or at least in the NBA, baseball, and hockey and all that, we see that first half year. We need players. We want to see those stars playing, and so I mean, we want people who did really well, who played more than, I don't know, 80 games, 70 games, something like that. What do we have, about each team plays about 90 games, 90 something games in the
Mm.
first half. So there should be that 75%, 80% of games that you've played. I mean, there's a thing today where star athletes will sit out a game, to relax and to rest. Now I understand that, but think about a kid who's, comes from who knows where to see Judge play a game on a Saturday afternoon. He's sitting, it's kind of bums it out. And I think it's so wrong to do to the fan base today. And I think a lot of people are angry at that also. And I'm not even talking about blackout restrictions, with all the TV rights that are running around. You need 14 different subscriptions to
Platforms,
watch
yeah.
a football season this year, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah. So I think at least this, the people should get, see the players who are playing, and that way players will want to play because they'll need to play to be in that All-Star, to get incentives, that cash incentive that you get when you play the All-Star game, you win the home run derby and all that stuff. Not just cash, but obviously also, uh, advertisements and stuff like that. So yeah, so I mean, going into that, just for instance, I'll give you one player that I think was snubbed in a way where comes out to be really is Santander. He has 23 home runs. He's second in I think he's second or third. I don't remember exactly. I think second though in home runs. As for outfielders, and he's
Yeah.
and he's not in the playoffs. I mean, I'm sorry,
And,
the All-Star game.
and one of the biggest snubs, and right there, and we're going to get into the All Star game in a second, but Omer is right. Of all the players, he's probably the biggest snub. I don't even have to go into all of them. He's the biggest snub of everything in baseball. I mean, Santander had some season so far with Baltimore, and he's going to keep producing. I mean, you're going to have a Baltimore team that's going to produce four or more players. They're going to have 30 or more home runs this year. And that's something we haven't seen in a long time. And I'm excited to watch it because it's a new team on the block. So, no offense to Omer's New York Yankees, it's time for a change in the AL East. But I'm glad it's not a team that has been completely bought and put together. This is a team that's been homegrown through the
That's right.
minors and put together piece by piece. Corbin Burns was probably the piece that had probably made this team really over the top, and he's had a great first half of the season. So we're going to get into the AL stars. We're going to do the AL first because I can.
Okay.
And, obviously, which makes the most sense is Adley Rutschman for the Baltimore Orioles. Rutschman had an amazing season, obviously getting the fan vote and also the writers vote. This was definitely a fan voted. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero still one of the most fun players to watch. He's fun on the field, no matter what. It's
Again, though,
competitive.
but that's a choice of not a player playing, but a choice of the fans knowing a name, right? So I think sometimes fans don't know everyone, and not always, people understand that, there may be better first basemen out there, and I can name you a few if you want that have probably just a little better than him in the American League. But again, people are looking specifically, on Guerrero, but that's fine.
Right. And second base, no doubt about it,
Yeah, that's a no doubter.
is a fan voted. Not to take anything away from Altuve. He's having his usual year. Does he deserve to be in the All Star game? Yes. Does he deserve to be a
No,
starter? No. Does he deserve to be a starter? No. There are other players. Third base, got it correct. Jose Ramirez having a
totally.
fantastic season. I mean, and even on a Cleveland team that is, I mean, it's really a young team. I mean, you got Jimenez hitting well. I mean, you got Ramirez. I mean, Bo Naylor playing well. I mean, it's a fun team to watch. Gunnar Henderson, there was no doubt. I mean,
No, you
you
don't
know,
think Bobby Witt
well,
Jr.? No,
I'm like slowly pulling the knife out of my stomach as I'm saying that. That's why I was going like this. It's like, yeah, Gunner, I think got it right, but how do you
it's
have
a flip
Bobby
of a
Wood
coin. I
Jr.
think.
as a
Yeah.
reserve? He makes a great point, and I looked at that also, and I'm sure I said the same thing when I first saw it. And could Gunner possibly have it, fan base a little bit of hype that he's gonna be AL Rookie of the Year? I think no doubt about it that it's Ellie De La Cruz for the Cincinnati Reds in the NL. I
Right.
don't think there's any
For it.
competition
Sure.
for your outfield fan base and deserving Aaron Judge. Sorry, there is no hotter center fielder right now. Juan Soto, obviously, that's fan base, but also, I don't know if he's the best fielding, but he's definitely one of the best hitting right
No,
fielders.
come on. Juan Soto is definitely out. Come on. You can't.
And congratulations to Stephen Kwan. A well deserved first half earned him, a shot in the All Star game.
I think he's batting 360. I mean, that's crazy. It's
Having,
crazy.
we haven't seen someone with this high a batting average since probably Tony Gwynn and Larry Walker both battled it out in that year,
But I'll
the
tell you
exact year.
though, but I don't know if you know, but he didn't play he didn't play a lot of the games. He hasn't played about 35% of the games, just so you know. So again, talking about what I said before is that, the guy played, I don't know exactly the amount, but I think he played only around 60 games. Just
So,
so you know. Just
so to
saying.
bring in, to bring Omer's comment, before it's like, if they're making this rule in basketball, we need to make, and I thought it was a perfect conversation. And trust me, this is something we're going to have more about here. And then the designated hitter, I mean, you could have picked from almost anybody, but I think this is also a little bit fan based, Jordan Alvarez, but Alvarez also killing the ball and hitting well. Your
Yeah, but
reserves. Yeah, go ahead.
and I'll just mention what we spoke about Stephen Kwan, and who got. I know I'm running a little fast for this way, but let's talk about a snub for a second. Is Brent Rooker from Oakland, who, the guy's out there playing 80 games, in the season. He's getting really great numbers on a really bad team. On a really bad team. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm
And
just putting it out there.
again, that's another good point is that, yeah, a lot of fan base players are getting in, and there's been a little bit of a change because we've seen other players get in. But what about all these guys that are doing it on teams that, yes, there's more controversy in Oakland over sports teams than anything, but you got to recognize right when right. And Omer's right here. As for the reserves, Carlos Correa, there is no way you're telling me that's not fan base because I'm
No.
sorry. He's not having that guy. Rafael Devers with the unfortunate, he's going to sit out, and that's to give a little bit of rest on that knee. He's been replaced by, I have it right here. Shoot, I should not have changed it.
I actually think Carlos Carrera is actually not a bad.
Okay. Jordan
I
Westburg
think if I,
replaced Devers, which is fine.
I think Bobby Witt, Carrera, and Henderson there, all three of them are kind of in the mix of 1, 2, 3. I mean, Carlos Carrera is probably number 3, but Bobby Witt, Gunners are probably 1, 2. But Carrera's there. I mean, he's all right.
You know, I you know, Bobby Witt Jr. is having a fantastic season. Probably one
Amazing.
of the best all around seasons I've seen out of a player in a long time.
Well,
But the problem is you can only have one starter. And
right.
obviously, one way or another, someone's going to be picked to be the starter. And Bobby Witt doesn't get the start, but he's still going to play in some natural time. You got David Fry coming from Cleveland. This guy's come out of nowhere. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's had a fantastic start. Riley Green, no doubter from Detroit. We mentioned Naylor from Cleveland. Isaac Paredes from Tampa Bay. If I would have bet on that at the beginning of the year that Isaac Paredes would have been an all-star, my gosh. Salvi, who's had an amazing season and has been consistent. It's not just 1 year for him. Every year, Salvador Perez just keeps being that Miguel Cabrera consistency. Just you're going to get 25 home runs, but you're going to get a lot of strikeouts, but you're going to get a lot of performance from him. Excuse me, Marcus Simeon. That's where I think your starter should be. I think Marcus Simeon should be starting second base for the AL squad. He's had a fantastic season, injured a little bit, but played back and forth. But so was Altuve. And if you look at the beginning of the season, Altuve wasn't playing that well either. Um,
I think
Kyle
it comes just
Tucker,
down. I think it comes down again, fan base, and again, Altuve is still hitting above 300.
mm,
Simeon's hitting above 220, 230. I think something there, someone over there. So I think it's
yeah,
kind of. I think it comes down to that.
yeah, and very well could be. Jordan Westberg will replace Rafael Devers as he will sit out with the to rest his leg. We mentioned Bobby Wood Jr. And as for the pitchers, we could really sit here and name them all. So why not? You know, Tyler Anderson from the Los Angeles Angels. You got Corbin Burns from Baltimore. Emmanuel Clapp having a great season with Cleveland. Crochet, I think he was the oh my god, we need a player from the White Sox on this team pick. That's Garrett Crochet took a spot from somebody. Logan Gilbert deserves it. Clay Holmes from the Yankees, yes. Tanner Houck from Boston, absolutely. If this man didn't make the All-Star team, we all know there was problems. Seth Lugo for the Kansas City Royals. Thank God this man
Your
made
Met, your New
my
York
Met.
Met.
Yeah, who we dropped kicked to San Diego, and then San Diego dropped kicked to Kansas City, and this guy is having the season of seasons here.
I
Um,
still do not understand. Trust me, with all those players that Kansas City has, how are they 49 and 43?
I don't know.
I do not get it. I
I
seriously, I do
don't know.
not get it.
And it's gonna. The good thing about that though is that they're proving Kansas City can win, and that's going to attract free agents, and that's what they need to do with this season. Because no offense to Salvi Perez, he's not getting any younger, so they're going to need to replace him eventually. And no offense, you got to get help for Witt and Melendez and all that there. Mason Miller is your Oakland A's throw on, and then as Omer pointed out, how do you not have this guy on? But this is your Oakland Athletics official player. Cole Regan's from Kansas City, as Omer mentioned earlier, Terry Scuball from Detroit, and then Kirby Yates from Texas. So it makes for an all out, I mean, it's definitely an all star team, what you would expect. Definitely in the pitching, you definitely see it's not all fan base. You definitely see there's a lot of mix in. So that's where I think they kind of went off. Obviously, Anderson and Corbin Burns belong there, but I think this was mostly picked the right way. So Omer
No,
for the AL
well,
All
I'll talk when
Stars.
we talk about the snubs, and
Okay,
I
now
think we're missing two people there, but again,
we're
you're
gonna get to that. We're gonna
yeah,
get to that. Now we're gonna jump over to the real league, the NL, um,
the real
where
baseball,
at
right?
where at the beginning of this season, if you were to ask me which team was going to have the most representative of the All Star game, I would have said, with obvious choice, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why? Because of the team that it was comprised of. However, it's not how it played out. With the way the Philadelphia Phillies have played the
Yeah,
first half,
they're
there
playing
is
well.
no surprise that he is that they are not only leading the NL East, which with the loss of Ronald Acuna is where that difference is. They're they just beat up on the Dodgers. They're proving Philadelphia could go much further. Bryce Harper, obvious choice, first baseman, no
Of
doubt.
course,
Alec Baum, third baseman, having a fantastic season.
amazing year.
I would love to miss 6 weeks and then come back as good as Trey Turner. I mean, come on, I've missed 6 weeks before and been told not to return. It's
I think that's I think here we have Mookie Betts that's
well, Mookie Betts
kind of subbed out.
would have definitely been there, but unfortunately broke his wrist
Yeah,
a few weeks ago. And he made the reserves, but when you have somebody injured, they should be taken off so somebody else can make it. And I think that's what's happening in the long run. Catcher William Contreras having a monster season for Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's a quiet team, even though they're sitting as high up as they are. Christian Yelich on a great bounce back year.
Oh,
Now
he's a
we get
great
to
player.
yeah, Kettle Marte just getting better and better every year for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Part of that elite core that helped bring them to the World Series last year. Right now, Arizona not looking like that team is kind of waiting out in the pool. We'll see what happens in the second half. In the outfield, no Angels here. We got a Brewer, Christian Yelich, as I mentioned, him having a hell of a resurgent year. We have probably one of the most deserved in the NL, and that's Jurickson Profar for San Diego. The guy has always contributed, no matter where it was, whether it was in Texas or it's been in San Diego, and he's just having a power year. He's having a constant, consistent hitting, and I'm glad he was recognized, obviously. And I think Fernando Tatis is a fan pick. I mean, look, not to
Oh,
take what he's
totally
what he's
fan pick.
doing,
That's
but
a
I think
total
that's a
fan pick.
fan pick. There
That
is no
is.
question in my mind that this is everybody's pick. Mr. Shohei Ohtani, a designated hitter from the Los
There,
Angeles
there,
Dodgers.
there's actually a different San Diego outfield that should have been there instead of him as a starter, and that's Jackson instead of Tatis. If you ask me.
Nope. So now we look at the reserves. Now we look at
Mhm.
the reserves for the NL, and we got C.J. Abrams for the Nationals. There's your toss in. Hello, Washington Nationals All Star. We get the New York Mets toss in. Pete Alonso gets the All Star break. He gets the New York Mets one handed, and Pete Alonso will be doing the All Star game, All Star Home Run Derby, as he announced the other night. He now joins that elite crew. Luis Arias, finally, because he's out of Miami, is getting the recognition he deserves. I think if he was hitting like this in Miami, he would have been your throw on. But it was a good deal by San Diego by getting one of the best hitters in baseball, in Luis. Mookie Betts, obviously, we know he broke his wrist. He would not be there. Ellie De La Cruz. And I said Trey Turner, you know, he, it's like it's hard to go backwards in time and say, how is Ellie over not over Trey Turner? But then you look at Trey Turner. I
No,
don't
but
want
then
to
you got to talk
speculate.
about
No.
Lindor. But then you
Well,
can talk
we'll get
about
to him.
Lindor.
We'll get to him. We'll get to that. Freddie Freeman, which is, I think, a fan vote, but he's producing. Ryan McNabb is your throw-in from the Rockies.
He's doing great. He's playing
Yeah.
great. He's playing really well.
He's a good second. He's a good utility infielder. That's one thing he's always been
He
consistent with.
he's gonna. I think he can be a total joker for a lot of teams who wanna win it out.
Will Smith for the Dodgers. I don't know. Teoscar Hernandez for the Dodgers. Jackson Merrill for the Padres. Good choice. Julio Ramos for the
Definitely.
Giants. There's your pity party, and Brian Reynolds. There's your pity party, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And Brian Reynolds. I hate to say it's your pity. He's having a decent year, but I mean it is what it is. Now the starting pitcher was supposed to be Tyler Glasnow for the obvious Los Angeles Dodgers, but he now just went on the DL, so he is being replaced by fastballer Hunter Green. Um, Ryan Hensley from the Reds. Okay, good job. St. Louis Cardinals, Jeff Hoffman, good season. Philadelphia. So Jeff Hoffman from the Philadelphia Phillies. Shota Imanaga, no question. Ronaldo Lopez from the Braves, no question. Chris Sale, it's got to be a goodbye tour thing. I'm sorry. It's Chris Sale. Tanner Scott for the Marlins, agree. The hottest rookie pitcher in baseball in Paul Skeens. First pick last year and is already in the All Star game this year. That says to every scout who panned him right. And I don't think there was one scout that got it wrong. I mean, congratulations
He's
to the Pirates.
amazing. I saw him pitch a game. I was
I've
mesmerized. It was
watched
so
a
fun to
couple
watch him
on
play.
TV,
He
and
looks old school. I don't know if you look at it. He looks like Nolan Ryan, like coming, like he doesn't
when
care
he's
about
coming
anything.
forward with that convection from the shoulder, that thrust forward, you don't see a lot of pitchers use that
No,
anymore.
you don't. You don't.
And that's a good call out because it's right. Matt Strahm from the Phillies, Ranger Suarez from the Phillies, Robert Suarez from the Padres, Logan Webb from the Giants. And again, this is no diss to him. Zach Wheeler from you're not a reserve. I mean, again, ex New York Met, got a hell of a contract and was worth every penny of it. I always liked Zach Wheeler, even when he came over for San Francisco for Carlos Beltran in that trade. I was very happy with that trade because I knew what Zach Wheeler had. The problem was is we had an organization that didn't want to pay anybody at that point. So that kind of did it for us in the long run with Zach Wheeler. So now Omer used a word that we haven't gotten to yet, and that's called a snub. And what is a snub? A snub is, in a sport term, is when someone is deserving of a all-star appearance, whether it be NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, whatever. It doesn't matter. Cricket, whatever. That the right people get chosen. And this is why Omer's comment on the fan vote is a problem because of the snub. So I'm going to let Omer take an AL snub because I know he has one. It's a very simple one, and I can
I
read his
have two.
mind. I'm about to say he probably has more than one. We're going to let him start with his first AL snub because I'm reading it right through his mind. Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna go after the obvious Santander one that I said before, but
Right.
if you ask me, Blanco from the Houston Astros, I mean,
Ah,
dude threw a no hitter. The guy, I mean, I mean, I'll tell you his stats. I don't remember them by heart, but if you look at his stats, Blanco is just ridiculous. I mean, the guy is ERA is 2.53. He's 9-3. He's pitched, 17 games. He hasn't been injured. I mean, the guy is just he's given up an earned run, 29 earned run average. The only issue maybe they could have with him is gives up too many home runs. But I don't know, are you kidding me? Number 4 in the ERA and he's snubbed. I mean, that's just wrong. I'm
that's
sorry. I hate the Astros. I really do. I mean, we all the Yankees hate the Astros. We do. But I mean, I think that was just wrong.
I'm kind of impressed by that call because I didn't even have that on my list at all. I mean, it's a very good point. It's a big snub. My biggest, I have a couple, but I'm going to start with the most obvious one is Francisco Lindor. Look, I don't think he should be a starter. I don't think he should be the starter because when you look at the shortstops that are in the All Star game, they're not wrong. They're 1,000% right. I think Francisco Lindor should have made it because of his play. Because being moved to that leadoff spot, his average went from 197 to 253. That's a 60-point improvement on balls, and that's almost better than what you can ask from Shohei Ohtani over a month and a half to do. A 60-point jump is huge, especially in the batting. And the difference in maker in that is that his defense has not faltered at all. It has not changed. He has not stepped down, taken it a step down now that he knows that he's leading off all the time and he's going to. No, he just stepped it up into a higher gear. Lindor's best years sorry, I'm going to say it as a Cleveland Indian before they came the Guardians. He was a leadoff hitter, and it gave
That's
him
right.
such
That's right.
protection in the lineup that he was an average 20 home run, 270 to 280 hitter, and he would get you 30 stolen bases. Well, that age of Francisco Lindor is back, and look, it would be amazing to see him hit over 300 on the year. I would love to see it. I'd love to see anything over 270. I'll take. My second sub, see, I get to go second, is also another Met though, because I get to be salty. Brandon Nimmo, how he got
Oh,
snubbed.
wow.
Brandon
Really?
Nimmo, yes, left field, has done it all from the bat, the glove. I can make cases for a lot of players who've done it that way, not just Brandon Nimmo. There are plenty, but I'm going to bring up my guy. I'm going to bring up Brandon Nimmo. But that's what it is. I totally now looking at what Omer said because I can easily bring up the Seth quickly fact. Blanco should have been on the AL list. That is an absolute snub. But my question is, who else do you have as a snub, Mr. Barzilai?
So, I'm gonna add to the Phillies. All right. So Christopher Sanchez, I think
Okay.
he is quite a snub. Fact that first of all, his ERA, I think is again. I'll look. I don't remember exactly. I think it's fifth or sixth, fourth. He's seen his fourth in the league in ERA, 296. He basically, I think he had a shutout this season. He went the whole distance. He's given up like 2 or 3 home runs only. I mean, I don't know exactly. Yeah, he's given up 2 home runs. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? You're putting in Logan Webb for Sanchez? I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's so deserving, at least being, I don't know, at least being one of those final pitchers that come in. I know they already have 2 pitchers on but listen, they have 3 pitchers, 3 of the top 4 pitchers in the NL. I mean, ERA again. I mean, that's just crazy. How does he not? How is he not there? And Wheeler is. I mean,
So if you look
again, I
from,
understand. Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. No, no.
No, I'm saying I understand if you look, strikeouts per nine, stuff like that. But again, the guy's giving up only 2 home runs, 27 walks. Again, he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's not overwhelming. I get it, but he gets the job done. Again, he made 6-4, which maybe, because maybe, the lead again. I don't believe in wins and losses. I really don't believe in that stat because people came to the base, the offense came or didn't come, right? So it's one of those things, it doesn't always come down to your pitching. It comes down to how the offense was and against what team you were against and all that. So again, I'm looking at the ERA, I look at WAR, you look at stuff like that, and you see it. You see the guy. He's I don't know, I think he's deserving.
Going back to Omer's comment that players should have to play a certain amount of games, thanks to looking into the list, and you see that Corey Seager is not on this list. Injured a
Mm.
lot, but has performed well. Marcus Simeon did make the list. But you want to know another name, and I can't believe I did not name him because he's had a great year in Seattle, and that's Andres Munoz. Not overly used, but not ineffective when being used. And he just got missed amongst the middle of the field. So definitely a shout out to him. And then there's always a case for Dylan Cease, the biggest name before the season, who we all thought was going to be traded to the Mets, the Yankees, or whatever, but that never came to fruition. So here we are. We are now at the halfway point. This is our second show out of his recording with Omer and Israel. Our next show will be recorded next week on the 17th. Are you available on the 17th, sir? I know
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
are.
think I think
I
if
know
we
we're
do
all
also,
set. We're
I
all
think
with him being named Father of the Millennium at last month. We're not going to say why. It's because he needed to be away. That's okay. We may do. And now we're going to get back. We're going to be trying to do this week to week or every other week, but leading up to that big moment in September where we are going to be watching the New York Giants lose to my Dallas Cowboys on Sunday morning football in Israel.
all
Because
I
that's
can
what it's
say
going
is,
to be.
listen, I can tell you we're probably one of the worst teams in football this year.
But this is
But
going to be, I'm definitely guaranteeing that I think we're going to get a lot of viewership from this because
I
I'm actually going to hear Omer yell from Israel, and it's going to be nice because I'm going to be hearing him right there. I can hear him from around the world.
I'm just waiting for that upset for the Giants somehow to upset the Cowboys and just I mean
Oh,
I'll
and
make
then
that
we'll
bet with
have
you.
like the meme. It would be the meme. But for those of you who've been
Definitely.
tuning in and those of you who like us, please tune into the network at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for all your blogs and vlogs. As we are reformulating the network, we'd like to welcome in Rudy Campos and Sweep the League as being a good partnership with us during the basketball season and the NFL draft season. We'll be doing more partnerships with them over time. The Dugout of Millwood, which runs baseball card breaks and deals here, is always hopping and running. And you can always reach me here for that, as the show is sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. Please like and subscribe. I have to say it. Please, Omer Trent, like and subscribe when you see this. And Omer will be sure and glad to send this out to everybody. Tippy Zev, come on. You know me. Like me. And for those who don't know me, please tune in, listen. And for Mark Oldofsky, Halpern, and Omer Barzilai, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.